the chat. If you have any questions or so, you can raise your hand right here to stop the flow of the lesson, and we can pick from there. Now starting, we have here Kevin Jones, our special guest, our first special guest. It's going to be very special, and I'm going to tell why. Thanks a lot, Kevin, for being here. This is our first guest workshop for the vibe coding series that we are doing for our vibe coded fund, the grand fund that we are running on Artisan. I'm going to do a quick presentation for that, less than 1 minute. So we are trying to support you with education, with content, with funds, if possible. So this is why we're growing this fund that is all going up to you. All of these projects applying here, they're going to be selected as the votes come inside Artisan. Community votes according to the seasons, according to the voting powers of all of these creators, all of the artists, all of you actually here in the platform. And all of these projects at the end of the creation time, they're going to receive a proportional cut, a proportional share of all of these funds. So right now, my only call to action is for you to submit your project if you haven't. And if you have, try and help us to get those sponsors, get more donations, get more sponsorship dollars coming to the fund, because every dollar is going to be matched $1 per dollar from Artisan. So every $100 that you bring in become $200 funding your project. Those great projects that are here. So this is why I double thank you, Kevin, for being here today, helping to bring more community, helping to bring more attention for these efforts that we are doing. And I would like to call out that you are a special person for this call today, for this opening call, because of your background too, right, Kevin? Before being a dev of referencing Web3 for everything you did, you had a very different background, much more closer to creative work, right? Can you tell me a little more about that? That's going to, I'm sure that's going to resonate a lot of the people here.
Yeah. So I actually started out, I mean, I've been working in like traditional tech for a while. I was a site reliability engineer, and I was also like a solutions architect for Nginx web server. But all along that time, I've always been very creative. I actually went to design school. I was learning graphic design for a while. I ended up dropping out of that because I kind of leaned into the infrastructure and technology side, but I've always kind of had a passion for like art and stuff like that. So I do photography, and I do it kind of somewhat professional. So for a while, I was actually shooting events, and I was shooting all of the ETH Global hackathons. I was doing ETH Denver. I've shot Bitcoin conference, and so that was kind of like my gateway into like the circuit of the different crypto industries. And yeah, it's been a fun journey. And now I don't do the photography as much. I actually did a shoot like 2 weekends ago, which was great. But I don't have the time to do it anymore. And now I'm just like full-time educator and teacher.
Yes, this is inspiration, right? All of your creativity can bring near other industries. And this is how you got to Web3, right? You were doing photography for one of those events, and Austin came up to you and lured you inside Web3, right?
Yeah, it was funny. I took pictures of Austin. He was at ETH Denver. He went on stage right after the governor, which like was so funny. The governor talked, and then he came on right after and did like speedrun Ethereum. And I had heard about Scaffold-ETH, which we'll talk about later, but I took a bunch of photos of him. And then afterwards I was like, hey, I took some cool photos of you, and we exchanged info. And it wasn't, if we wouldn't have done that and had that interaction, like he would have never saw the stuff that I was posting on X. Like I was posting lots of educational content. I was teaching people about Scaffold-ETH. I was actually doing my own like workshops and stuff. And that would led to me actually getting very highly involved in the Build Guild, which is a group of builders on Ethereum. And then also after that, I also met Simone, who was my old boss at ETH Global Hackathon, at an ETH Global event, because I was shooting the photography for it. And I was also giving the workshops there. So yeah, it was fun. It's been a fun journey.
Isn't this inspiring, people? I like to bring this touch. You bring double value for this call today, Kevin, both with your inspiring background and also, of course, with the content that you're going to bring today, teaching people these techniques, how we can get started with Scaffold-ETH, how we can vibe code on top of it, all right? So thank you very much for being here today. The ground is all yours.
Awesome, cool. Well, thank you so much, man. Good. Thanks for having me. Good to meet all the new faces here. Yeah, my name's Kevin. I work at full-time. I work at the Graph, so I work on a blockchain data protocol company, or I technically work for Edge and Node, which is one of the core developers of the Graph. But I support the Graph, and then I'm also like one of the core members of the Build Guild, which means that it's basically a DAO that helps educate about Ethereum. And I have anyone who wants to follow me, you can follow me on X. It's cryptomastery_. And I'm also on YouTube as well. So I'm actually just going to share my screen. Let's just dive into it and do some stuff here. Let's go here. Can you guys see my screen okay?
Loading up. Let me pull that. Okay, great.
Awesome. So yeah. Please subscribe to my YouTube. I'm going to be posting lots of videos there. We did a live stream last Friday with Marcus. We're doing another one tomorrow. We're going to live stream that, and then that's here. And then there's a bunch of other podcasts. I did a podcast for a while, but I'll be uploading a lot of stuff here. So please subscribe. But yeah, so yeah, we're going to talk about building on Ethereum more specifically today with AI tools. And I'm going to actually just try to like do some vibe coding. Like we're just going to try to build something fun. I wanted to give like a quick intro to Scaffold-ETH because this might be new for some people here. The Scaffold-ETH is basically a product that came out of the Build Guild, which is aimed to be kind of like a starter kit. Basically comes with like a lot of stuff kind of built and ready for you. So it's got Next.js, it's got Rainbow Kit, it's got WAGMI hooked up. It's all TypeScript, which is really, really good for AI tooling when you have TypeScript because you have the type safety of all of the hooks and components and whatnot. And it supports Hardhat or Foundry. So this is basically what we use to like virtualize the blockchain when we're doing like a local first development. And so we're going to use this. I mean, if you were to do a search on like Claude or ChatGPT and you were to say, hey, I want to build an app on Ethereum, what's the easiest way to get started? It probably would send you here. And the cool thing is it's also very modular in the sense that you can build like extensions for it. So as you can see, there's like a subgraph extension. So we'll actually try to use that. We'll try to use this method with the -e subgraph. You can just spin it up normally just using this npx script to do it. So npx create -eth. This is the npx script that will allow you to like bootstrap an environment. And then we choose the latest just so it gets the newest version. And so if you wanted to do like a token, there's an ERC20 version of that. If you wanted to use Ponder, you could use Ponder, but we're going to do this one just in case we have time to also talk about the graph. We're going to see if we can get there. But so I'm going to run this in a new terminal. And this is going to basically give us this kind of like choose your own adventure. It's going to ask you like, do you want to install the package, right? So we need to use create.eth. We chose the latest version, so there's an update. So I'm going to say yes. And it's going to go ahead and install that. And it's going to run the script. So it's going to ask you like what you want to name your project. We're just going to call it Vibe Code Thursday. And then it's going to ask you what chain you want to use. So if you're new to building on Ethereum, I would recommend you probably use Hardhat because it's been around a lot longer than Foundry. It also supports writing your tests in JavaScript or TypeScript, or your deploy script. Your deploys can be written in TypeScript, and I think the tests can be run in what's called Chai, which is basically a JavaScript package. And so if you want to do testing, it's a little easier in my opinion because you don't need to know Solidity. Foundry uses Solidity-based testing. So altogether, I just would recommend Hardhat. So when you choose that, it's going to basically like bootstrap an environment for you. So this kind of like just helps you get your environment set up with like, there's some, predetermined like stuff that gets installed because it's an entire package. But in my opinion, like it's good choices, right? So like,
Kevin, sorry to interrupt. Can we go back to the command that you typed? Sorry. NPX.
NPX. So it's here. It's NPX. If you guys go to scaffold-eth.io, you can bring it up, but it's NPX space create-eth at latest. And then if you're going to use in the extension, you do -e subgraph.
-e.
We can drop this in the chat too.
Yes, please. Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah. Thank you. Good questions. Yeah, let's keep it interactive. So If you need anything, just shout. We have a small enough group here where we can make it fun. So we basically, just like that, we spun up an environment. Basically, it installed all the dependencies, and it also formats all the files so they look good. It creates a Git repo, so you can just start throwing it into Git right away. Now, then it tells you the next steps. So it tells you exactly what you need to do to get started. So it wants us to go into the directory. It wants us to do a couple things. It wants us to spin up a chain, which is our local development Ethereum node, essentially. It's like a local Ethereum node. And then it wants us to deploy the contract using the deploy, because it does come with a contract, and we'll take a look at it. And it comes with a front end as well. So it wants us to start the front end. So you kind of need to do this in a few windows. And so with Scaffold-ETH, you always want to have a bunch of windows up to do that. So you can do it however you want. You can go file, new terminal, new window. I'm going to do it using Tmux, which allows me to split my screen up. It's just a little bit easier for me to demo. So I'm going to go into the same folders on all of them. So we created this one. It's called Vibe Code Thursday, right? So we're going to go into there, and we're going to do that on all of our terminals, right? And so this way we have those ready to go. Okay. So again, we need to spin up the chain. We need to deploy our contract, and then we need to start the application, the front end. So again, it's a mono repo, so you can think of it like you're spinning up your blockchain and then your front end in two different windows, and then you need a third to kind of orchestrate your environment. So Yarn Chain does exactly that. It spins up a chain, right? So if you chose Hardhat, it will spin up Hardhat. It also gives you this concept of accounts. So if you're new to building on crypto, you do everything with cryptography. And so it gives you these public and private key pairs. And these hold like some play ETH in them, basically, so you can start testing and like test your application on a local environment without using real money, right? So it spins that up and gets it running. In the next window, we will start our front end, right? So it uses React with Next.js. And it is using what's called the app router, which might be useful information. But you'll see right here that we get the front end loaded on port 3000, right? And then in this very final window, we do the deploy. So Yarn deploy. So Yarn chain for our chain, Yarn start for our front end, and then Yarn deploy pushes out our contract, right? Now, it's a little slow right now, but it just compiled and deployed the contract. So just like any program, blockchain applications need to be compiled down. And in this case, it compiles down the source code, which is in a high-level language called Solidity. It compiles it down into what's called bytecode. I'm not going to get too much into that, but you can just think it like you compile any application, and then you deploy that to the blockchain. So what we did right now with this deploy command is we used the Hardhat deploy script to deploy our contract. And you don't really need, we're going to vibe code, so you can kind of imagine that we're going to extract some of this stuff away, and you don't need to know too many details. But let's load up the package inside of Cursor. So I think probably everyone here has heard of...
Quick question. So
yeah,
Yarn chain goes in the first terminal, Yarn deploy in the second, and Yarn started the third one, correct?
Yep, correct.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. Cool. Yeah, Yarn chain for the chain, Yarn start for the front end, and Yarn deploy to deploy your contract. If we were to try to do a deploy again, it would tell us that we've already compiled our contract, and it would say there's no new changes, so nothing to compile, and it reused our contract. It's also good to know if you want to force a contract, you can do -- reset, and it will force a new contract. You have to think of this too. This is just good to know. Like when you build an application on a blockchain, you deploy it, and it lives forever. Right, the code is kind of there, and so there are other patterns to deploy contracts, but you need to understand that a contract lives forever. And so if you want to deploy a new version of that contract, you can do -- reset, and it will make a second copy of it and kind of like start from scratch again.
Kevin, sorry, I tried to deploy, and it says Yarn deploy command not found.
Make sure you're in the right folder. Make sure you're in the project that you created.
I see. Okay, cool.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yeah,
okay.
Manuel, you had a question too, right? Don't know if it's the same question.
Yeah, no, I was more looking into, I don't know if your screen is sharing anything other than just the terminal where there's like the yarn deploy, yarn start. Because that's all we can see. We could just see your main terminal, not the others.
Oh, interesting. Okay, let's see. It froze up on me.
Yeah, sorry.
why.
I joined a little late. What is this CLI that you're running?
Yeah, let me kind of just go because let me fix this real quick. Something happened where my thing froze. That's probably what happened here. Let me kind of go back here and I'll show you what I did. Sorry about that, guys. I don't know why it did that. So you guys were probably seeing this screen. So after it says that your thing's completed, you need to go into the directory. Can you guys see my terminal now?
Yeah, we see it.
Okay, so yarn chain will spin up your chain. And that is this command was created by running the npx create ETH. So it's in the comments or the chat. You should be able to go to scaffold-eth.io and get this command. But what we need to do is just split up our screen. So this first one spins up our chain. And then in this second window, we're going to go into the same directory and start up our front end. So you guys can see this still, right?
We see that, yeah.
Yeah, now you see the three screens, yeah?
Yeah, 3 screens.
Oh, sorry, this was not showing. So these are your, this screen here is the chain. And so these are the play accounts I was telling you about, the private keys and public keys, right? And then in this window is where React is running. So React is a front-end programming. So we have this ability to navigate the app. We'll get to that in a second. And then this third window we're going to use to do our deploys. So again, we do yarn deploy here. And what that will do, will deploy a contract, which comes with Scaffold-ETH. So you can see here now, you'll see that there's some console output that we get. And we see the contract transaction. And then we see that the contract address of where it was deployed. So we'll get to this in a second. We're not going to talk too much about this, but you can see how much gas was cost. But let's take a look at the project real quick. Okay, can you guys see my cursor?
Yeah.
Okay. So I think I want to give like a very basic overview of like what I personally like about cursor. The one thing is we have this ability to add cursor rules. So inside of Scaffold-ETH, when you bootstrap a application with it, you get an MDC file, and the MDC file will always run, and it has all of the commands and like caveats of like how you work with Scaffold-ETH. So it's kind of like a guide rail or guardrails for your agent to know how to work with the project. And so it comes with this file that's already written for you that has all of those caveats and tells AI how to properly use this project. So that's really powerful. It is already there every time you spin up a project with Scaffold-ETH. Another thing is if you go to cursor settings, and you go to, this is really hard to, let me close this, and we go to rules, you can, is that where it is? Yeah, you can add rules manually here if you need to. So if you want to,
from which terminal did you launch Cursor?
In the same one where you have the project. So if you created a project called Vibe Code Thursday, then I ran cursor dot like this.
Okay.
Yeah, you might not have this alias set up on your terminal. If you don't, I think you can go Command Shift.
I have it set up.
Oh, you do? Okay. Just so you know that if you don't have that, you can do Command Shift P or Control Shift P, and you can install the cursor command with that right there. Just good thing to know. So anyways, the other thing is MCP. So MCP is the AI realm is fast moving, and there's been this kind of model context protocol that has evolved in the last, I think maybe in the last 6 months to a year, and it's really taking off now. And it's this idea where you can like query an MCP server to get detailed information. And so as you can see, I have one configured from Pinax, which is it's one for the graph for the token API. But I added another one here called Context 7. So if anyone hasn't heard of Context 7, you can go to context7.com, And you can see that what's cool about Context 7 is it's an MCP server that hosts a bunch of documentation. So if you're building in React, you can click here and you can see all of the different endpoints, basically documentation that's available inside of this MCP server to query. And so if you're ever like doing a prompt, you can come over here and say, hey, do this, or sorry, hey, do this, and use Context 7, it will query the MCP server and it will try to find the exact documentation that's been indexed by Context 7. So it's a nice little trick. You can add this pretty easily by just coming here and go to MCP server, and it gives you the instructions on how to do that. It's basically just installing this command here in Cursor. So I recommend everyone do that. Go into settings, Cursor settings, go to MCP, and then add a new global MCP server, and just make sure you add this Context 7 here. And then it will always check Context 7 to see if the documentation is available on there. Super powerful, because then you don't have to keep going back and forth to the docs page and then telling the AI like, hey, use this, use this. It has a huge database for all of that stuff. So check out Context 7. We haven't done much vibe coding.
Sorry, I'm on Context 7. Where is it link from where I can copy it? I'm in the Context 7, yeah.
Yeah, so click, if you go to context7.com, click on MCP server here. That will load up the GitHub basically for it. And then the instructions are right here. So it wants you to go to settings, Cursor settings, MCP, add new global MCP, and then just make sure you have this included in that MCP file.
So it's too small, Kevin. It's too small.
Yeah, let me put it in the chat so you guys can just go there. Yeah, yeah. Okay.
And the context here, Kevin, just to explain what place we are in the cities, we already explained the 101, why this is important, why you need some structure, some context before vibe coding, because if you just go for the fun, you get wrecked. So you do need to set it up correctly. And now we went over this already the past 2 sessions, and now the setup that you are doing makes sense. It's not like the boring time. No, actually, people should be prepared for the setup phase now.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's just load up our app, because our app runs. So if you've been able to successfully bring up your app and you have this, you've deployed your contract with Yarn Deploy, you'll be able to browse the app. And the app runs on port 3000, so you just run it locally. And I just want to really quickly show off Scaffold-ETH and to show exactly what we have here. So again, it is a React application, and you'll see that it has these tabs. So the most important tab here is the debug contracts tab. So this page you're seeing right here is kind of like a hello world page. It's just telling you, hey, welcome. It shows you your address, which is your wallet. You'll notice that we have a wallet automatically configured for Scaffold-ETH. It's called a burner wallet. It's right here in the corner. Now, anytime you want to interact with an application on Ethereum, you need a wallet, right? You need to sign transactions using cryptography. So what's cool about Scaffold-ETH is it comes with this burner wallet, and you don't have to bring your own. You don't have to connect to MetaMask or any other wallet. You can just start prototyping with this one. But this debug contracts tab is where the real magic is on Scaffold-ETH. It takes a contract that you deploy and it builds a UI for you. So we can look at this and automatically know that we have a contract that has a balance of 0 ETH. It's deployed to Hardhat. It has a greeting string called building unstoppable apps. It has an owner address variable defined. It has a premium Boolean set to false, and it has a counter, which is an integer or unsigned integer of 0. And it has a read function, and it has 2 write functions. And so we can see that our contract, which just like any application, a smart contract is deployed to the blockchain. It has the ability to do reads and writes and update state. And so we have this greeting function called set greeting, and you'll see there's a greeting here. So if I want to set the greeting to vibe code like this and hit send, it's going to tell me that I don't have enough gas to pay for the transaction. So I tried to update it, but my balance is 0. And that's because we have this burner wallet, but it's empty. It has no ETH. It has no value. there's this little button right here. It's called the faucet button, and it will give me some ETH. So now it gave me some play ETH, 17.59 and 84 cents. So now I have 1 ETH in my wallet. Now I can update this to Vibe code. And so it allows you to test your application really quickly. We got some weird error. I don't know what that is, but we'll figure that out in a little bit. But the idea here is that we have this receipt we get back, which is kind of like an API response. So just like in Web 2, if you send a API call, you get back a response. Well, in Ethereum, you get back what's called a receipt, like a transaction receipt, which is basically the transaction and like any data that's available in the response. It uses the same API type architecture, but it's called JSON RPC. We don't need to get into that. But anyways, we have this contract and we've been able to use it and it worked. So what I want to do is just completely show how with AI, we can just totally change all of this right now. We can completely revamp this pretty quickly without even writing any code. So I'm going to come in here and I'm going to say, I want to build an app that allows me to sell food from a food truck on the Ethereum blockchain. It needs inventory of a bunch of different foods, drinks, and I'd also like to have desserts, sure. Okay, let's just see what it does. So with just this one prompt, hopefully it knows that this is an Ethereum application, and it knows, without going into too much detail, there's a Hardhat directory, and there's a subgraph directory, and there's a Next.js directory. So Hardhat is where our chain lives, and you'll see there's this contract folder. And then our front end is here in Next.js, and we have the app in here. So this is where our front end application is. So we're going to pretty much stick to that. We're going to use those 2 folders right now. So let's see what it does. This is a little slow right now. Let's see if I can make it go a little faster. That's the only thing about vibe coding. Sure, let's do it. I just YOLO'd $50 on something. I don't know what it was. All right, so while this is doing that, it's basically going through reading all of the code base to kind of figure out exactly what it needs to do, which is super powerful. Let me kind of dive a little bit more into what it's probably going to do. It's probably going to edit this your contract. It's going to update our contract to use whatever coding it wants to do. It might update the deploy script, and this is the deploy script on how we deploy our smart contract. And then it also might come in here to the app, and it might start building out the page. So we use app router again. So with Scaffold-ETH, it's using React with Next.js app router. And so we have these routes. There it goes. So it created a food truck contract. And I guess we could take a look at it. Usually I don't like to look, but let's see what it did. So it built out a contract called food truck. It has an owner. It has some different food types, drinks, desserts, menu items. It's keeping track of like storage of those items. It also has an order struct to keep track of all the orders that come through. What else did it do? Added some events. So events on the Ethereum blockchain are kind of like logs. And so you might want to like log some information that comes back from like a user interacting with your application. So it created these kind of like logs. It also added some modifiers, which are like kind of like functions that will check to make sure something is required or something is done. It created a function to add menu items. It created a function to update an existing menu item. It also did all of the documentation. So this is a special spec called NAT spec, which is like a special way that you're supposed to tell the developer like what parameters need to be passed. It filled that out for us. It also gave us update inventory. It gave us a bunch of stuff. Be able to place an order. It's a pretty big contract. It's almost 300 lines of code. In realm of Ethereum, that's pretty big.
Which model are you using for that?
I'm using
3.7, right?
3.7 Max, I believe.
Nice.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, that's going to be expensive. Good, but that's good.
Yeah, that's fine. I just put the $50 limit, so it's all good. YOLO. Now it's actually going through it. It wrote a deploy script too. So it wrote a deploy script for us, which is cool. So we can see the deploy script. Now it's going to deploy the food truck. It also is going to create us stuff for us. Look, so it's going to create us some cheeseburgers and pizzas and hot dogs and fries and soda and water and ice cream. I instantly want to go to the food truck now. Okay, and now it's actually going through and building out the front end application. So it's actually coming in here. It created a menu path, and it also created a page. And so yeah, it's going through. It's trying to figure out how to work with everything. Still going. Finally, let's create a status page to check order status.
Later we can try and generate the food images with AI too.
Yeah.
Would be cool.
Yeah, let's see if we can do that.
Okay. I should have ordered snacks for today's session. We should put a disclaimer for future ones, right? Don't come to the session if you're hungry.
I didn't have lunch today. I was literally just had a bag of chips, so I'm gonna definitely be hungry after this. Cool. So there's a lot of waiting with AI. Let's just let this run. We'll come back to it in a sec. I want to talk about a couple other things. Oh, look, it's already updating. Blockchain food truck. That's awesome. I want to show something for people that do want to dive into the documentation and understand more about Scaffold-ETH while that's building. Is on the Scaffold-ETH.io website, there's a docs, which is really good, that tells you about how to get started. Tells you about all the components. So it's because Scaffold-ETH is built on React, there's a bunch of React components in there. Things like an address component like this, which does ENS resolution. ENS is kind of like a naming service for Ethereum that allows you to have a unique name tied to the Ethereum address so that you don't have to memorize this long 20-digit public key. There's also a balance component, which lets you flip between, you saw that earlier where I was flipping between US dollars and ETH. It will find the ETH price. We have the address input button, which lets you type in someone's ENS. So these are all in here as part of the components. And so also there's interacting with your smart contract. So if you want to actually do some of the coding yourself, all of the hooks are in here as well. These are hooks that allow you to do things like write to your contract or read from your contract or look at the events that come off of the contract. And so these are very useful as well. And you can always point your AI at this page and it will kind of like maybe fix it for you. So let's see what happened here. So I think it worked, but there's some errors. So let's go over here and let's see what errors are here. It looks like there's some, now, use scaffold read contract. Oh yeah, that worked. Oh, I need to deploy the application. So let's do yarn deploy again. Okay, so now we need to deploy it because it made some changes. So we need to deploy those. So the contract should work. Let's see if it worked. It did. So it deployed successfully. And let's see if these types go away. Now these are types that weren't available, but now they are. So it's all good now. But there's this admin page that is not working. So let's find out what the linting errors are. There's some linting errors. Let's go ahead and just try to fix these. So if you're in your inside of here and you just click on a linting error, you can just say fix in chat and it will append it to chat for you and then try to fix it. I'm kind of surprised. Sometimes it won't go all the way through and fix all the linting errors, but usually it's on auto fix. Maybe because I have it on. Yeah, I'm not sure where the auto is. You know where the auto is?
It's one of the settings for you to enable it to check for the linting errors. Because you go for the cursor settings and then model or something like that.
So please fix this. I'm just being very lazy right now. I don't want to look at it and see what's wrong. Cool. So now, see how it said, okay. Here it goes. So it saw some more linting errors. It's going to auto fix, accept all. And one more linting error. So it's going through, it's automatically self-healing, which is really cool. But I think there's one more. Let's see what else it is. Where's it at? This one. See if it can do it. If you're truly vibe coding, you're probably not reading all this stuff. But I'll be honest with you, like it's a great learning experience for you to maybe do this a little slower and like read through, because as you're doing this, it will kind of like help you understand exactly how these applications work. Did it work? Can you fix it? Okay, so let's just go over here. I'm just curious if it's loading right now.
Hey, we have Ryan in the chat. Hello, my friend.
Hey,
Thanks for
GM,
being
GM,
here.
how you guys doing today?
Doing great. Hey, Kevin, this is one of all the fund managers in Artisan for basic creators, right, Ryan?
Yeah, so the base creator's fun. And
Yeah. So everyone here, if you guys wanted to apply to the basic creators too, check the eligibility criteria. That's a great match, 2 for the price of 1.
That's right. We're doing a fund where all you have to do is team up with a Web 2 creator of some kind, and you can get funded for helping to bring a creator on chain.
Nice. Ryan, please meet Kevin if you haven't before. A great pro from Edge Node, from the Graph, sharing some vibes with us here today.
Cool. I think it worked. I think it worked. We have a blockchain food truck.
Woo!
All right, so here we go. We've got a blockchain food truck. Order delicious meals on the blockchain. So we can browse the menu, order now, and then check status. So browse the menu. Let's try it. Let's see if it actually works. Oh, cool. All right, we can get a cheeseburger, pizza slice, hot dog, fries. We can also get drinks. Okay, cool. Who wants a cheeseburger? Let's get a cheeseburger. How many do we want? Sure, let's get 3 of them. Place the order. No orders found. Okay, we're getting an error. Let's see. Use scaffold read contract is not a function. Yeah, it is. It should work. Let's see. So now we kind of got an error, right? We placed an order, but it didn't show up there. So maybe we can troubleshoot that. So let's come over here. We're just going to paste it in and just see if it can go out there and figure it out automatically. But let me kind of browse through here. So we have the menu. It created menus for everything. It created an orders tab, which keeps track of the orders, which is currently empty. Let's see if maybe it'll fix that. And then we have the status. And then there's like an admin, which I assume is for someone to like fill the order. Oh, access denied. Oh, wow. So it used access control to basically block because it's not the owner of the contract, which is kind of cool. So another thing you learn, what's that?
I said that's neat. That's like not very obvious. And somehow I figured that it should do that.
Yeah, so there's this concept of like when you're building applications, like they're banks, right? You're storing money in your contract. So we have this food truck contract, right? And we want to protect it, the funds in there. Like if I'm going to pay for a cheeseburger, I don't want anyone to be able to take the money out that I earned for that cheeseburger. So what we need to do is like basically do access control. So if we kind of can assume that it did access control, and it did that by having this owner, some kind of owner address. And so we could probably assume that, hey, like the owner of the address should be an address that I control, right? So as soon as this is done fixing this issue, I'll take control of the contract with this address. So this is like my burner wallet, right? So we talked about burner wallets. You have a public key and you have a private key. So the private key for this wallet is stored in the browser. It's very insecure. Like you would not want to use this for like real funds, but we have this wallet here that has this play ETH in it. So we can actually use that address just to test. So we're going to copy that address. Okay, it's done fixing that error. So we'll come back to that, but in the meantime, let's fix this. I want the owner of the contract of the food truck to be this. So that's my address that I have access to and control of, right? So right now we have access denied. So it's going to modify the deploy script for me and take control of this. So then I should be able to redeploy the contract, and then we can test it again and see if it worked. So we can look in here and look at the deploy script and see what it's doing. There it goes. It added it in. There it goes. Cool. Let's redeploy. So yarn deploy deploys our contract. There we go. Oh, there was an error. So let's see what it is. So there's an error here. It says adding initial food truck not authorized. Oh, because there's this issue where like our are trying to like add all this food before we when we don't have access to the contract, right? So we need to say like, oh, okay, well, we actually want all the food to get added first, maybe, and then we deploy it. So we could just see it. Let's just see if it fixes it. I know what the problem is, but let's see if it will just fix it automatically. So because we're doing access control in the contract, in order for the deploy script to go and add all that food, it needs that private key, which it doesn't have, right? So let's see if it's smart enough to know how to transfer the ownership of the contract after it's already been deployed.
Maybe it's going to be lazy and just going to remove access control.
Yeah, maybe it's just gonna, yeah.
Sometimes it happens with me.
There we go, deployed. So I'm not sure that it, oh, it added the menu items. Okay, connected wallet, but it still says access denied. So that's interesting. Let's just tell it, hey, like, I'm trying to get access to admin. I want to access admin with this public key.
Kevin, don't you need to import the deploy private key in MetaMask for being the admin of that smart contract?
No, because in the deploy script, we're probably like, so let me explain this. So Hardhat comes with those 20 accounts that you know have the funds in them, like the fake play money. And so the very first account usually is what's used for deploying. So I'm trying not to look at the deploy script. Oh, that's weird. It created another deploy script. What did it do? Why did it deploy two? Deploy production food truck. Why is there two deploys? Yeah, sometimes AI gets a little out of hand and you have to like, you do have to keep a little bit of eye on what it's doing. Second scripts.
Competition, right? You cannot have just one food truck. One is like for Mexican food, the other is like for Indian food, and then they compete.
Yeah.
Hey, Kevin, one question.
Yeah.
What if the agent on Cursor starts building it starts building on another directory? So what happened was I was trying to follow along with you, and I didn't realize that when I asked it to create another example, it just created a directory not on the Vibe Code Thursdays directory, somewhere else. And so now it's building like in parallel. So now it has like one directory where there's the app and then the whole package bundle that we have from the Scaffold-ETH is just somewhere else. Like, how do you manage that?
Yeah, you just want to make sure that you're operating in the right repo. Like, yeah, because if you were like launching your code application from like your root of your like your home folder, right, it would have access to everything, and it could definitely get out of hand. So just make sure that you're only opening Cursor inside of that project, right? Yeah. Let's see if it works. So I still get access denied. Oh, I need to deploy again, that's why. Let's see, let me deploy again and just see. So you get in this habit like when you're building on there we go. Oh, I think that worked. Let's just see if it actually, oh, there it goes. Cool, it fixed it. So I still have not looked at the code really very much. Cool. So now I have an admin panel. So now let's go back to, so now I'm the admin, right? I have this admin panel. Let me open up a new window, but I want to open up a new incognito window. And I want to go to localhost 3000. Now what happens is I get this new private key and public key inside of my session. And so what I can do now is I can order here and I can see if we're able to access the data here. So let's go to here, let's go to menu, let's get some ETH. I don't have any ETH, right? So I need to click some ETH from the faucet. And then, oh, but the food items aren't loading. So that's not good. So maybe we can do view developer tools and hit refresh. And we'll just tell it like what we see, right? So we'll say, okay, it worked, but now food items are not loading. Oh, what did I do? There we go. Cool. So we're getting there. We're getting close, though. I feel like we're going to actually get this application to work. And then maybe we could get it to where each menu item has a picture or something like that. Okay. No, stop. I am trying to see menu items, and I get, let's see if it does it. I feel like we're very, very close. No. The items should be there, deployed when the script runs, but I don't see them. Unless it didn't actually like deploy them. You know what? Maybe it just removed all the items. It says here, it's console logging that stuff, but the question is, did it actually create them? I think it didn't. This is just logging the stuff. So, oh, there we go. So now yeah, which is like, why would you console log? What? Yeah, it doesn't make much sense. Okay, let's see if it works. Oh, I think it might have worked. There we go. Cool. So we have an admin panel and we have the food. So let's say a cheeseburger, and we want to get 3 of them. Place order. So let's see. Getting another error. Invalid hook call. Okay, so there's some kind of issue with the hook. That's okay. Let's see. When I go to order status, shows this. So we're getting close. We're getting close. I'm wondering if it shows up over here. Status. Oh, I guess this is just like how you can set up inventory, or you can add a new item. Oh, and then we can withdraw funds. So that we'll try that in a second. We'll see if we can actually get the cheeseburger in here. Wow, how did I get so much ETH? 172. I guess it just dumped me a bunch of ETH. Okay. We're getting very close. I feel like it's going to work soon. So it's fixing the hook. Let's hit refresh. It's not there though. Your orders is empty, even though I added a cheeseburger. Let me go back here, go to browse menu. Let me try adding a pizza slice, 2 of them, place order. Something's wrong. Let's see if it fixes it. Okay. Yeah, anything you want to talk about while we're waiting here, Matheus? I know we got like 8 more minutes, yeah?
Yeah, we should get some fun activities while the AI is completing stuff for us.
Yeah, I feel like we
Maybe
like,
should create a Twitch category, like we play Minecraft while we vibe code, something like that.
that's a good idea.
I had a question. I kind of joined late. I had Jeff with getting into the room. I donated like 4 times, and it wouldn't.
Oh, sorry about that.
No. It's all good. I feel good about supporting this type of work. So the money is good. Will this recording be available at some other point so we can watch it end to end? And awesome. And say you were moving this food truck to the real world, how would you deploy this inside of some sort of cloud or?
Yeah, that's a great question. So you can imagine like everything we're doing locally. So with when you're deploying a blockchain application, you're deploying essentially, oh, look, the orders showed up. That's cool. You're basically deploying the contract to a public network. So there's test nets like Sepolia, which is a test net for the main net of Ethereum, or there's just like main net chains. So like Base is one, or Ethereum itself. So you can deploy it to like a test net if you want to like share it with people to test, or you can deploy it to mainnet. I was kind of hoping we could get it to a point where I could actually completely ship it, but I can at least show you what to do. It looks to me like it's kind of working now. So if we come over here to orders, status, we should be able to see the orders. Oh, these are not my orders, but I don't know how we actually like take the orders. But yeah, let me show you. We have our order here. It says processing. If we had more time, we'd get it so we could do the whole flow and extend some money. We could actually look at the contract. Did it take any money? See if it did. Go to debug contracts. It does. It has some money. So it's got $80. Those are some expensive cheeseburgers. These are like San Francisco cheeseburgers. So I should be able to come to admin now and withdraw that money. So if I come here and go to the bottom, I can withdraw them. There we go. I was able to successfully withdraw that $80. And so now if I go back to the contract, the contract's empty. So that's working. We know that's working. But let's pretend that this is in a state where we want to deploy it. That's a great question. So first thing, we need to generate a new key, because we don't want to use these keys. These keys that come with Hardhat are shared. Everyone has the same keys. They're like copied all across the internet. So you don't want to use it for real funds. So you need to generate your own private key. And so Yarn Generate lets you do that. It wants you to create a password for it. So we'll do password. Don't ever use password, but I'm going to use password because we don't care. And it's going to create a public key for you. And it's going to save that private key into your ENV file, but it's encrypted. So all we need to do is fund this account with some ETH. So let's say we want to deploy this to a testnet. We can come over here, go to, I grabbed this address. If you did Yarn account, by the way, you would be able to get a list of the maybe password. You'd be able to get this little QR code, which we could use to send some ETH. Like if you had ETH on your phone, you could scan that. But we know the address is right here. And so it will go through and check all our balances. So I'm going to use my wallet to send some ETH there. So I'm going to come here and I'm going to go to Sepolia. And I'm going to send some ETH on Sepolia. So I'm going to hit send. I have a lot of Sepolia ETH. So I'm going to hit send and I'm going to send 0.1 ETH. So I'm going to send $180 of Sepolia ETH. So what I'm doing is I'm sending it from my wallet, which has $375,000 in it. It's not real money, it's fake money. And I'm going to send that to this account that's on my laptop now. It was completely randomly generated, but now this account has some funds. So if I do Yarn account again and type my password, it's going to go out and get all my balances. So when it gets to Sepolia, there it goes. I have 0.1 Sepolia ETH, right? So now all I need to do is Yarn deploy -- network and do Sepolia. So the -- network flag, I know this is probably hard to read. Yarn deploy -- network Sepolia will push this to Sepolia. It's already, Scaffold is already configured to do that. So now once the password, so it's going to take my contract. There's nothing to compile. It's going to deploy your contract, which is not the one I want to deploy. I want to deploy the food truck, but it's going to do both. So it's going to deploy your contract first. And it's a little slower than the local host. And now it's going to deploy the food truck. So what it's doing is it's sending a transaction to the blockchain with all of my source code compiled down into bytecode, and it's going to deploy and make me the owner. So now my contract will live on the blockchain. And then what we can do is go into our Scaffold-ETH repository, and we can go into, why is that like that? Let me, hold on. Why can I not access the menu? Oh, here it is. Okay, I'm going to go into the Scaffold-ETH, and there's this config file right here. It's called scaffold.config. It has the chain that you want to point it at. So we've been using Hardhat, but all I need to do is, now that it successfully deployed and created all the food items for me, I can now point this at chains.sepolia. So these are all types available. So you can see that Sepolia is available. There's also base Sepolia, ink Sepolia, Bob Sepolia, whatever that is. But we're going to use Sepolia. And now if I go back to my application, you'll notice that what will happen is if I refresh, it's going to know that the contract is available on Sepolia. So if I hit refresh, but you'll notice I get kicked out of the burner wallet, and that's because we don't want to use burner wallets because the private key is stored in storage. So if we click here, we can connect to another wallet. So if you had a wallet on your phone, or if you use MetaMask, which is here inside my browser, it's like a good browser wallet. So I can connect to MetaMask here, click connect, and there we go. So now this application is technically the source code for the blockchain application is on Sepolia. The last part would be shipping this, our front end, to a spot as well. So if I come in here, I should be able to like put in an order, browse the menu. I don't know why the items are not showing up. Yeah, I don't know, something's broken, but let's just assume it worked. And then I could ship this application as well. And so you can do that as well with Vercel. So you can do yarn Vercel. The command is yarn Vercel YOLO -- prod. Don't ask me why, but this is how you publish to Vercel really easily. YOLO basically ignores build errors, and then this pushes it as a production application. And so it's going to ask you, do you want to set up and deploy your front end? You say yes. Do you want to use an existing project? Sure, let's use the Kevin Jones project. Do you want to use this exact one? No. Do you want to use a different existing project? No. We're going to call it food truck. Is it located in the root? Yes. And then do you want to modify any settings? No. And now it's uploading my entire front-end application to Vercel. And so now I have this URL here that I can load up and I could share with you guys, and you guys would be able to go on here. And right now it's building, but in the next few minutes, it'll be complete. And so just in those like 5 minutes right now, I generated a private key. I funded it with some ETH using another wallet. I compiled and deployed it to Sepolia, and I updated my front end, and now I'm shipping my front end to Vercel. So in 5 minutes, I kind of shipped this application to a public network that easily.
Yeah.
Nice.
Last lesson, we had the V0 generation that would deploy to Vercel. Now we can go from Cursor to Vercel with this simple one-line link, YOLO link. That is great. And Jerome,
Really?
I'll send you a folder. A folder with all of the recordings for past lessons. You have everyone here that participated. If you don't get an email from me, just ping me on Telegram or Luma, whatever. I'll send you the recordings, okay?
Awesome.
And I'll also put this repo out too, so you guys can see it. Although it's technically broken right now, but hopefully it works soon.
Yeah. Next step is finding an investor that want to put, let's say, $200,000, and we build this food truck, this gelato food truck, right? And ask them to sponsor maybe peanut or truffle ganache. We have a lot of food options to sponsor that food truck.
Yeah, totally. I'm just curious if it's going to add food images if I ask it to. Cool. Any other questions about any of this stuff?
No, this looks really straightforward. This is great work.
Thank you. So the deployment's still building. I was kind of hoping it was going to get to a point where we could actually like show that it works. But if we that's the other thing I was going to say. One more thing. So we built this application. It's deployed to Sepolia. If we go to debug contracts, we get the food truck contract here, and we can see it doesn't have any ETH, but it have all the information in here, right? But we have the contract. We can click on it, and we can go to Etherscan. Now, Etherscan is kind of like an indexing solution that index the contract. And so we'll notice right here that it was deployed 5 minutes ago. And if we go to contract, look what we get here. This is the actual code and what it's deployed on the blockchain. It's called bytecode. It's very, very, very low level. Now, if I wanted someone to be able to like read this and understand it, I would need to verify my contract. There's a command to do that in Scaffold-ETH. So you can do Control BZ. Let's say Control BZ. Oh, so we can go into this folder real quick, and we can do yarn verify the contract -- network Sepolia. I don't know about it finished too. So what this is going to do is it's going to verify the contract on Sepolia Etherscan. And it's going to, what it does is it takes the source code, sends it to Sepolia. Sepolia compiles it to make sure it matches what's on the blockchain, and then it verifies it for you. It's kind of an important step in blockchain, because if you want anyone to use your application, you need to verify that contract so that they can read what it does. And so now we have this little green checkbox, and we can see the source code. So any of you guys can come there and look at it, and then you can see the entire source code for the food truck application. Not the front end, but deploy failed. Oh no. Okay, that sucks. So we would probably need to log into Vercel to figure out exactly why that is. Food truck build logs. Some kind of weird search parameters or something like that. So you could throw that at AI and hopefully it fixes it. Oh, and also added images. Did it work? Let's see if it worked. Sorry, I'm probably keeping you guys over, but let's go to menu. Oh, that didn't work. Invalid source. Okay. Okay. Well, anyways, it's not in a great state, but that was a lot of fun to mess around with. Any other questions you guys have?
That could be a planned homework. You put the GitHub link. Anyone
Yeah.
that completes the deployment gets a free cheeseburger when we open this food truck.
I like that idea. Oh, and that's actually another thing. Let's do that. I want to add this real quick to GitHub. So I'm going to go to repositories. So my GitHub is KMJones1979. You go to new. We'll call it food truck vibe code. And then I'm just going to put it all on there right now for you. So create repository. So we can just grab like everything, add everything. So we'll do git add star. Make sure you don't have any private keys in there. And then we'll just do git commit. Oh, this is important too. So we use Husky for linting. Now, if you're getting a bunch of linting errors, you could go through and fix them. But you can disable linting as well by just coming up here and going to Husky, go to pre-commit, and you can comment out this Husky pre-commit so that it doesn't like fail when you're trying to upload everything. So let me just do that again. There it goes. Okay, cool. So now we have this entire project here. Oh, and also what's also good about AI is writing a README. Like if I just say like, hey, write me a README for this, you know, it will just build me a cool README that kind of explains everything. That's also, I use that for AI a lot because writing READMEs suck. But you have like AI, like it's so much easier, especially TypeScript because it knows all the types, it knows all the details. It's really useful.
Wonderful. Can write docs, can write API refs, all of the documentation needs of your project, right?
Yeah. So sorry the deploy failed. We could probably fix it, but I don't want to keep you guys too much longer. Yeah.
That was wonderful. Wonderful. Any follow-up questions, last questions? Don't know if you have a hard stop there, Kevin.
No, I'm good. Yeah.
One question, Kevin. If you were to do some sort of interactive agent, is that possible to do on the blockchain? Is it something that can be done?
Yeah, that's a really good question. Let me actually share my screen again. So if we go to GitHub, my GitHub, there's a repository here. It's called, what's it called? Here we go, Scaffold-ETH agent, the graph. So this is a build of Scaffold-ETH that comes with, I was going to use this for the workshop today, but I thought it might be a little bit too heavy. But it comes with integration with Coinbase Agent Kit. So Coinbase Agent Kit is like a platform for basically like interacting with contracts and wallets. And so it has that functionality built in. And then it also has, I think it's using Vercel AI SDK as well, and it's using the graph as well, which is the company I work for, to like get data like from Uniswap. So it's a good starting point for a project. Actually, if you want to use Scaffold-ETH, if you want to use Ethereum, you want to use an agent architecture, it has that agent already in here into the Next.js application. I think it's under, gosh, is that the right repo? Yeah, that's the right repo. But it's in the Next.js application. See if I can find it. Next.js. You guys see my.
If you wanted to build, for example, I don't know, Farcaster app, is that compatible with what is done in the packages here, or is that?
Farcaster app. I would say Scaffold is not ideal for a Farcaster app because a Farcaster app is kind of like a static page. I mean, you could. There might be one that someone has built in the past with it. I'd have to look. But Farcaster apps are usually just like single kind of like rendered pages, and then you're just like interacting with them. But I don't know. Lots probably changed in Farcaster lately that maybe I don't know it well enough. But yeah.
Okay.
Well, that's a good topic. I'll give a call to my friends at Farcaster and ask them to do a workshop on vibe coding an app there. That could be cool. A frame. I wish I had this phone number, but that's a cool topic too. Well, wonderful. So now if you want to get started with building your first Web3, your dApps, your smart contracts, start working with challenges like speedrun Ethereum and all. Now you have all the tools. Thank you, Kevin. You did a great explanation. Now we all have some homework. We all have lunch, dinner, snacks to have.
You all should be real hungry right now.
Yeah, that got me, bro.
Well, thanks for having me, and yeah, I hope everyone got some value out of that. I know it's.
Do you want to drop your socials, your links, Twitter, if you want people to follow you, your YouTube channel, your photographer page, if you want to cover a wedding also.
Yeah. If you need portraits done, you know, yeah, let me know. Yeah, there's I think you guys have my YouTube, but it's youtube.com. There's like another Crypto Mastery, but they don't post. It's some like weird other language, but there's that. Yeah, like and subscribe on there. That would be useful. Watch my videos so I can like quit my job and become a YouTuber.
Or flipping burgers in your food truck.
Yes, exactly. I'd be okay with that if I could retire and just have a food truck on the weekends.
Yeah, well,
you have to order on the blockchain.
Wonderful. Manuel know that I know how to do some good barbecues, right, bro?
Yeah, those are the best, man. His barbecues are like just something else.
Yes.
Yeah, maybe we should start.
DevConnect BBQ.
Asado, they call it asado over there. We can do it. Totally make it happen.
Matheus, don't joke about food trucks. I know a guy, the Turkish guy in London, who made 200,000 in 1 year. Okay.
Oh yeah,
Turkish dollars. 20,000 pounds.
That's insane.
And guess what?
Put that on chain, and then you're good to go.
It's slightly remote from the blockchain technology, but anyway, that's how much money he made in 1 year. Young kid, by the way.
Sergey, just find us one investor, like $10 million, something like that is good, and then we start this project, okay? Wonderful, people. That was a great session. Thank you all for participating. Thanks, Kevin. Thanks all for watching this later too. I hope that this content is useful. And let's keep in touch for next sessions. Thank you all.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks for coming, guys. Thanks for taking the time.
Yeah, nice to meet you. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Bye.